natural. We're gonna need some kind of visuals. People won't believe it.
Start over.
I'm Aaron Moorhead.
I'm Justin Benson.
And Dave Lawson.
Something in the Dirt is about these two new neighbors who encounter something that just might be supernatural or otherworldly, and they see it as a way to break out of their lives that they've been relatively disappointed at up to this point, at least professionally. And within that, there, I think as an audience member, there's a hope that these two guys will become friends and find connection in each other. But in a lot of ways, it's a story is about people not becoming friends.
We've always wanted to tell a story where the mystery of the movie is not the point. And often that just allows you to play around with character a little bit more. But it's really difficult because you run such a high risk of disappointing your audience. But we've seen things like the first season of True Detective, where we thought, man, what if there is no answer? What if the whole point is about being comfortable with the unknown or how people react to the unknown? And so we were so careful to try to make sure that we were promising the audience that this movie is not about that, and in fact is about what happens when you don't get there. But then the second thing, for us, Something in the Dirt was a COVID lockdown movie, and more like a return to what it's like to make your first movie. You know, you have a location, you have two great characters, and you just explore a relationship with one cool idea out there. And Resolution is just like that. And that's what we tried to do with Something in the Dirt. Cool to be able to come home philosophically with Something in the Dirt.
It's funny because I remember after we made The Endless, it has this little like inside bonfire area. And we were sitting around, we were having a beer at the end of the shoot. And we were kind of taking in this moment. We're like, oh man, if this works, like it probably will never be like this again. Where, you know, we just have this like small group of talented collaborators and we get to go off on our own and make something that we're really proud of and do it the way we want to do it. The funny thing is we just keep doing it. We've been really blessed to do it several times. And honestly, it's fun to have all the big toys, but it's making Something in the Dirt was the most fun I've ever had making a movie.
But we'll also say, Justin and I have worked on the biggest of the big scale sets with directing Moon Knight and Loki and Archive 81. And those are much more fluid than our independent film sets by a long shot. I also say larger budgets inherently give you less freedom. Of course, when you have like lots and lots of money, that's not really a problem. You just throw money at it. Synchronic was at like that right in the middle where everything had to be like down to a perfect T to work. And it did work, but it was like, it had to be like so precise because it's like, oh, what if we change the location? It's like, well, we didn't permit it 3 weeks ago. You know, so it becomes a problem.
We were in June of 2020, like everybody else in the industry, trying to figure out what filming looks like, getting back to normal. And we had a couple projects, and we were like, okay, well, let's be like the first indie movie that's like ready to go right out of the gate as soon as we get the green light. And it became increasingly clear that nobody really knew what that was going to look like or how long that was going to take. So Justin and Aaron came to me, I give us like June or July, and they were like, hey, instead of doing this, how about we make a movie as small as we can? I think there was a half second where Justin and Aaron like, maybe the two of us are the only people on set, and that way it's safe. And they did a little test, and it actually worked out really well. I don't know that you could sustain that for a whole feature, but that the scene was really well. Man, I'm not quite sure how we got it accomplished with just the three of us. We had an amazing
really
art
good
department.
editor.
Yeah, exactly. We had an art department who was working, you know, pretty remotely, and then we had an editorial team that, and by the editorial team I mean Michael Felker, who was ingesting all of our footage every day to make sure that there wasn't anything big that we were missing as we were shooting. It was just the three of us on set, kind of doing everything, and it was a lot of fun. It was really exhausting. We did 20 days of principal photography and then a couple pickups afterwards once we had the edit in a little bit more of a locked place.
Justin, will you expound on the extra days of shooting?
God, I hope I don't ramble on this too long, but so essentially when Aaron and I were rehearsing the movie, one of us would be like, oh, like what if we had like a documentary cutaway here? Because originally the script was always a pseudo documentary in the spirit of something like Lake Mungo, but for some reason we didn't have these sort of like traditional documentary cutaways. We realized we were leaving so many good jokes on the table. We convey so much more information, and that there was something just really visually interesting about that. We ended up adding like how many shots?
298.
290 shots to the movie. And we had gotten some jobs that put us out internationally. So Dave was back in LA with a second unit. I don't think we've almost never had a second unit on an indie film. Well, Aaron and I would occasionally be able to pick something up, like in the Jordanian desert or in Budapest, and it was pretty wild. I mean, Dave, especially, that was really cool of you to be so accommodating to 298 extra shots that you mostly had to do.
Justin, would you say our North Star in general in storytelling is probably Alan Moore?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's probably the number one favorite, not just his work, but his personality and his philosophy. Damon Lindelof, of course, we just talked about The Leftovers, but also, Watchmen. Greta Gerwig, she's acting and making her own indie movies, and, just watching her career, she's like, ooh, she's doing it just right.
Mike Flanagan,
yeah.
Jordan Peele.
You know who's an inspiration for different reasons, but you'll get it, which is Ethan Hawke. Obviously, he is a wonderful director and performer as well, but because we've now gotten to work with him, he's also he's just who I want to be, like as a person. I think he's just an incredibly good guy who's wise and humble and wonderful. Some of our inspirations actually, weirdly, is someone who, it's the only really decent analogy we've been able to find to how our work is connected, which is, but one of our major inspirations is Stephen King. He does that too. And it's like, yeah, I guess he does kind of have a Stephen King universe, but you don't really think of it that way. They just kind of occasionally intersect each other. And then sometimes they're like exactly, sequels and all that. From us, we just want to say thank you so much for picking up Something in the Dirt. Yeah, I know you know how much we love this movie. It's pretty clear how passionate we are. And so thank you so much.
Thank you so much.